I'm Meredith Guthrie from DPIRD, and together with me is James Ashley from the Bureau of Meteorology for our fourth Weather Matters video. So, growing season rainfall so far. So these are a couple of maps produced by DPIRD. We have the rainfall to date map for the 1st of April to the 27th of May. And Brunswick Junction's actually had 150 millimetres of rain, and Darkin is the most significant one in the grain belt with 61 millimetres. And so the map on the right is the decile map, and you can see there that it's very red. So that's indicating that the rainfall we've had for the growing season so far is below average. And the rain we've had in the last week, so in the week since we've done our Weather Matters video, Mylup in the southwest there got 31 millimetres. A lot of locations missed out. There's only light rain. So hopefully, James, there'll be some more this week. This is a soil water map up to the 27th of May. Again, there's that blue spot in around Hyden, and Brunswick Junction also is showing up there. So there's a lot of areas where the soil water is quite dry. But again, James, hopefully that's all going to change. So I'll hand you over to James now with the forecast.
Yeah, well, it has changed. Everyone would have noticed basically from about a week ago, from when we last spoke to you. I don't know what we said, Meredith, but we certainly changed the weather pattern. We've flipped very much into more winter time, typical late autumn winter sort of pattern with cold fronts sweeping through. Here we've got just some model output for Wednesday morning and Wednesday evening. This is from the EC model. I just wanted to show a couple of things. Basically, that sort of west to southwesterly blow across the southwest, bringing showers, probably some thunderstorms as well, and also quite gusty winds to coastal parts. Yeah, we'll probably see out in the open ocean, there'll be gale force winds as that system comes through near the west and southwest corners on Wednesday morning, and more towards the Esperance area by the afternoon and evening on Wednesday. Probably see gusts in coastal parts around the 80 to 90 kilometres an hour mark, and just watch out for any severe weather warnings that may be issued for that system. But generally, showers and storms producing rainfall across the Southwest Land Division, but really the predominant heavier falls will be confined to that sort of lower west, southwest coastal areas, and the Darling Scarp area. Other thing of note, which is fairly significant for this time of the year, is rainfall right through the sort of Pilbara and getting into the southwest of the Kimberley. Even with this system, rainfall will push up right through the Kimberley during Wednesday and Thursday. So some cold rain for that area. Not typical for this time of the year, but certainly can happen. So generally, the weather pattern has turned wet for the whole state, really, not just the southwest. And we have another front, probably the more significant front of this sequence, coming through on the weekend. Probably the leading edge of that front will hit the southwest corner during the middle part of Saturday, getting up to Perth to Albany, probably mid to late afternoon. It's going to be really wet, windy ahead of that, so quite strong northerly winds ahead of the rainfall. And right on that leading edge, there might be some quite gusty, windy conditions. But it is quite a wet system. It's got a good tropical feed of moisture. So again, this system will take rainfall right across the Southwest Land Division, also through the Gascoyne, and then later, like on the long weekend onto Monday, it's going to take rainfall again through Pilbara and Kimberley areas as well. So really quite extensive rainfall for these couple of systems, pretty much getting rainfall to every part of WA, even that far northern parts. Behind the system, in the wet southwesterlies during Sunday, there'll still be that typical showery, maybe a couple of storms as well, impacting the southwest. Most of the rainfall, though, through grain growing areas will be with that frontal band late on Saturday and into the early part of Sunday. Here's some maps. We showed these last week. This is sort of median rainfall, the kind of typical sort of figures we might expect during the course of the next week. And on the right-hand side is kind of like a higher end, the top 25% sort of range of rainfall that we can expect. And you can see, pretty much the whole state has got some sort of colour on it, Meredith. It's pretty extensive, the rainfall with these couple of systems coming through. But you can see the really heavy falls, most likely in that southwest corner. But rainfall in the double figure mark likely to get right through southwest land division and potentially into that sort of 20 to 30 millimetres, even getting into the central parts of the wheat belt. So really useful rainfall coming through the whole southwest, and as I said before, also impacting the northern parts of the state as well.
That's really great news, James.
Yeah, and the week beyond that, so this is the following week, so out to the 10th of June, you can see we're expecting kind of typical rainfall, I guess you'd call this for June, a typical rainfall pattern with some reasonable falls in the southwest corner and lighter falls as you go inland. So kind of suggesting during that week we'll probably see some frontal systems, but more westerly sort of flow, not so strong a connection to the tropics and bringing that sort of more widespread, heavier rain into the interior parts. But generally some follow-up rain for that week out to the 10th of June.
And further ahead, James, is the winter outlook.
Yeah, so this is we showed this. We've showed this every week, I think, since we started. Still, that the signal still is very similar. We've seen that pressure anomaly break down, and instead of that abnormally high pressure over the southern parts of WA, it's being replaced by more normal or even slightly below normal pressures. So indicative of frontal systems moving through. So that's the good news. And that's reflected in the rainfall chance of exceeding the median there on the larger image, where we can see pretty much most of the state, certainly the southwest of the state, sort of average to above average, certainly it's slightly on the wetter side of normal for the whole of winter.
That's great. And pushing out to spring?
Yeah, and the pattern pretty much stays the same, which suggests that we're going to see these frontal systems and rainfall producing systems continue into the early part of spring. So I would expect these basically rainfall for the next 4 months to be, for most places, to be around the average to slightly above average for most parts of the southwest of the state. There's obviously variation in that. Some places will do better than others, but generally, as broadly speaking, it looks quite promising for rainfall over the southwest of the state.
Right. And summary?
Oh, well, yeah, as I mentioned, rain across much of the state over the next week. Really extensive, and it's not just WA. This system's actually bringing rainfall right across most of Australia, which is pretty amazing. So that tropical connection means that rainfall will penetrate well inland and also northwards. Just highlighting that increase in winds with the system today and into tomorrow, particularly in coastal parts. And also on Saturday, quite strong northerly winds ahead of that system on Saturday afternoon and evening. And then as the rain hits, those winds will drop out. So really some heavy rainfall is possible, particularly in western parts. Those normal, the rain band will take heavy rainfall through most western parts of the state. It'll weaken as it moves through sort of eastern parts of the southwest land division, but still some useful rainfall getting right across the whole southwest land division, and as I mentioned, further northwards, generally in a westerly flow behind that front, and with the system over the next day or two, we'll see most of the heavy rainfalls will be in that Darling Scar down around the southwest corner. That's a typical sort of westerly pattern, rainfall pattern. And then long range forecasts, as we mentioned, sort of suggested that average to above average rainfall for most of the southwest land division. So that's right out to September. So rainfall prognosis looks promising for agricultural areas of the southwest of WA.
That's great. Thanks, James. So just some resources that some viewers can look at if they need to. There's the Drought Response Hotline and also their Drought Response web pages, and a little bit more information too if you need to head to the Bureau of Meteorology for their tools, and also DPIRD have a series of tools, and of course the weather briefing email address if you've got a question for James and I. So thank you for joining us on this Weather Matters video.
Yeah, thanks everyone.